The first thing we're gonna get into is this fleece of a job. I mean, a heist in the highest order. Victor Oladipo to the Miami Heat for Avery Bradley and Kelly Olynyk in a pick swap. Rob,
Yeah.
as a fellow Miami fan, please give me your thoughts.
I'm absolutely happy. I thought coming into this trade deadline we was gonna get either one of the two, Victor Oladipo or Kyle Lowry. I mean, I never really thought that the deal would be this good, but it's absolutely insane. I mean, you knew that Miami had a lot of leverage, mainly because Victor Oladipo had a lot of contract offers, not just from the Houston Rockets, but from the Pacers as well. Victor Oladipo just didn't seem like he wanted to take anybody's contract offers even before the injury. So what we really understood, I mean, there was a lot of smoke about Victor Oladipo wanting to go to Miami. There's a lot of mutual interest. Miami wanted Victor Oladipo as well. Of course, to pair with Jimmy Butler, that would be a very good dynamic win combo. Because of that, just that's the sheer leverage. They knew they weren't going to be able to re-sign him unless they severely overpaid him, gave Victor Oladipo a max. So of course they had to do something. And because of that, I mean, Pat Riley did exactly what he was supposed to do. There was like an article that came out earlier, or there was like reports that came out earlier that basically said that they wanted Duncan Robinson or Tyler Hero. This was like a month ago. I mean, obviously we're not gonna. Let's be honest, bro. Let's be honest. No one thought we were gonna include Duncan Robinson and Tyler Hero. That was just completely hogwash. So of course, I feel like the Houston Rockets, they did what they had to do. But I'm not gonna lie to you guys. They should have actually tried to engage with someone else. Maybe like the Lakers, the Clippers, some contender that could have potentially offloaded some sort of huge contract and potentially even some draft compensation, anything. But the deal that Miami Heat gave the Houston Rockets, it was terrible. I mean, the players involved, I do want to kind of talk about them. First things first, Bradley Beal's been injured for pretty much over 3 quarters of the season. He hasn't necessarily been that good in terms of on Miami Heat. So of course, offloading him wouldn't necessarily hurt Miami in any way, because he hasn't necessarily played in like the last 20 games anyway. So of course, it's going to basically feel the same. Kelly Olynyk is a different story. Kelly Olynyk has been a starter for almost majority of the season. The thing about Kelly Olynyk though is that he regressed as a shooter. Now this right here is something that Miami Heat basically seen all across the board from Tyler Hero, Duncan Robinson, but it's been absolutely significant with Kelly Olynyk. I mean, I'm a Miami Heat fan, so I see every single game, and I understand the looks that Kelly Olynyk gets. The looks that Kelly Olynyk gets, they're wide open. I'm talking about wide open. The offense that Miami Heat runs, they're so conducive to spot up shooters, and Kelly Olynyk is exactly that. And he was just missing. He was shooting about 32% from the three. And I get it. If you're going to shoot 32% from the three, be a high volume shooter, be a shooter that's going to shoot a lot of contested shots, something like that, like a Luka Doncic. You shoot 32% shooting shots that Luka Doncic take, okay, but you're getting wide open shots, shooting about 6 or 7 threes per game. You cannot shoot 32% from the. You cannot shoot 32% from the three. That's completely unacceptable. But Kelly Olynyk did actually provide some more things. He was a good passer. Defensively, he wasn't necessarily that great interior. He wasn't necessarily that great rebounding wise. We still looking for a center. In terms of the overall deal, I mean, as you said, it was an absolute fleece. Victor Oladipo is going to be a very good player for the Miami Heat, and I'm pretty sure in the playoffs he's going to play a very very huge role.
Yeah, listen, man. I think you being a little too nice, man. Like I respect, you giving Kelly Olynyk, and Avery Bradley some respect. Respect this dude, you know what I'm saying? But let's call it what it is, man. A fleece is a fleece. Victor Oladipo, I mean, before his injury, Victor Oladipo was looking like, the next coming of Wade, maybe not on that level. I can't just throw that last name around. But, I
Mm-hmm.
mean, come on now. I'm getting Wade, Bosh, and Bron vibes from 2011. I got to be
Mm-hmm.
honest with you. Now, I do think that the bigger deal here is what's going on in Houston, man. Because
Mm-hmm.
they were demanding Duncan Robinson up until I think like the last hour or 30 minutes. But Miami,
Mm-hmm.
Pat Riley, you know what he do, man. He wait, he sit tight, patience. You don't let the other team take control. And this might be the trade of the decade. We only in 2021. I don't see any other trades, especially if Victor Oladipo can get back to the level he used to play at, and you guys can retain him. But I think we should touch more on Houston, man. What's going on in Houston is terrible. You mean to tell me you start the season off with John Wall, James Harden, Christian Wood, DeMarcus Cousins, PJ Tucker, right?
Mm-hmm.
All you have to show for it is John Wall, Avery Bradley, and Kelly Olynyk. Christian Wood was out. He came back, but Christian Wood is nice. But Christian Wood isn't, he's not Anthony Davis. He's a nice piece on a contending team. And
Mm-hmm.
Bookie is nowhere to be found ever since he got dropped. So I just don't understand what's going on in Houston, man. I think that it's a mockery. I think it's a shame, and I really don't blame Miami for taking advantage of that front office. I mean, that's literally horrible. James Harden out, Avery Bradley and Kelly Olynyk in. I love what Miami did, and I actually think that they're going to be a good dark horse in these playoffs because everybody's talking about the Nets, everybody's talking about Philly, but with Oladipo playing the way that I know he's capable of playing, and we didn't even talk about Trevor Ariza. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
Trevor Ariza maybe washed now, but he'll provide a good 5-10 minutes when it's time to guard somebody. JB may be a little tired. You know what I'm saying? And the defense on that perimeter. I just want you, Rob. I just want you to imagine this, man. Imagine you got Victor Oladipo, Jimmy Butler, Trevor Ariza. Bam. That four alone. It don't matter. Me and you could be the fifth. We could take turns being the fifth. That defense is going to be impeccable. I'm telling you.
Exactly.
So, listen,
and you know how teams are nowadays. They always want to run the small ball. So of course you don't even really need that much big men. You put Victor Oladipo, Jimmy Butler, Trevor Ariza, Andre Iguodala, and Bam Adebayo in there. That's a five that can lock up any small ball.
Iguodala. I didn't even mention Iguodala. Oh my.
Yeah. It's going to be insane. I mean, I just want to reiterate, specifically the fall off that Kelly Olynyk had. Last year, he was shooting 41% from the three-point line.
Mm-hmm.
This year, he is shooting 32% from the three-point line. That is literally a 9% fall off, dog. That is absolutely. And again, we talking about wide open shots. We're not talking about, kind of contested. A lot of his shots were wide open shots. There was a game a couple games ago. Well, we missed 11 of 13 wide open shots. It was absolutely insane. But as you said, specifically talking about the Houston Rockets, I mean, just the overall deal. I mean, they got 4 first-round picks. They got 5 pick swaps. They got Avery Bradley, Kelly Olynyk. I mean, Dante Exum, and that's pretty much it. I mean, like overall, I mean, the haul that you did bring in for James Harden, it wasn't that good. You had I talk about Ben Simmons a lot. I talk about how he's underwhelming, but when we talk about the overall player of Ben Simmons, he would have been a much better haul. Ben Simmons is a player that you could build around. He is young. You get a jump shot on him. Of course, I know it's much easier said than done, but he could possibly be one of the best players in the NBA. Instead, you trade for a bunch of 8th graders and a bunch of freshmen in high school. This is not a very good haul for James Harden. It doesn't make any sense. And not only that, on top of that, you have to compound it with the fact that they did trade away. They basically declined accepting Karis LeVert and Jarrett Allen. It's like, what were the GMs? What was the Rockets GM doing? Right now, you could arguably say that the Rockets GM is the worst GM in the league, hands down.
I don't even think it's an argument. I think the worst GM in the league right now. Like, and everything you just said, I can't disagree, man.
Let me ask you a question though. I mean, the Rockets got a whole bunch of picks right now. The Rockets look like they basically in the running for Cade Cunningham. What do you think their next move is going to be? Do you think they're going to build for the future? Or do you think that they're going to try to acquire another star? They got John Wall, they got Christian Wood. It's not like they don't have talent on the team.
Mm-hmm.
So adding another star could potentially, make them a little bit more respectable. But what do you think?
Oh no, they're going to hit the rebuild button. I mean, I think honestly the next thing that they're going to try to do is move John Wall. I mean, you want to try to get out of that contract as quick as possible. There's no need to pay a man that much money if it's looking like they won't even be a playoff team. You got Christian Wood. Like I say, he's a nice player. But Christian Wood and John Wall, those are your second and third best player. And unless you're going to get a Kawhi or a AD, Bron, Steph, guys of that caliber, KD, and you had a guy of that caliber, James Harden.
Mm-hmm.
You had a guy of that caliber.
Mm-hmm.
I just don't. I think the rebuild is coming. Well, I think the rebuild is here. You try to get Cade Cunningham if you can. You try to move John Wall in the offseason because, I think it was a report that came out that they were attempting a buyout, but they never could get to a buyout. But it didn't really pick up much steam, that story. But
see, look. The problem with buying out John Wall right now, I mean, you're gonna have to pay him $120 million, something like that.
Yeah,
you can't do. I mean, you can't do that. I mean, and trade him. Like, who gonna trade for that man on that type of contract? Like, I'd understand if John Wall was still packing in, like, you showing me 25 and 10.
Yeah.
He's not even there anymore. I mean, he's not a scrub. He's like 20 and 7 assists. But like, no one's trading for that, dog. So I guess they're gonna eventually have to buy him out, or they're just gonna have him stay on the team. I mean, he's not really affecting their plans for Cade Cunningham. They losing with him. They lost 20 straight games with him, so I'm
Yeah.
pretty sure he's not necessarily gonna be that bad. The only downside to this, of course, is going to be the mental health of John Wall. John Wall is not a losing type of cat. He's not a losing player. I mean, he came from Kentucky. He's used to winning basketball games. I mean, I don't know, man. It's looking very, very dim.
Yeah, man. If we can take anything from this trade, is that Houston, if you want anything, if you want to do any deals and you want to not give up too much, talk to Houston because they seem to purposely be trying to tank, man.
You know who might trade for John Wall?
Who?
I say OKC would trade for John Wall.
Really?
They trade for John Wall, but the Rockets would have to include first round picks. They'd have to get some draft compensation. So the Rockets would probably have to trade John Wall and 2 first round picks
Okay.
just to get off of that salary. Now, it's not just OKC. That's a deal that they could do with a lot of teams out there that's looking to rebuild because of course everybody wants first round draft picks, and even the New Orleans Pelicans talking about getting off of the Steven Adams deal and getting off of the there's another player I forgot that was overpaid, but they're looking to get off of 2 players that was pretty much overpaid. I'm pretty sure they'd do it as well if the Houston Rockets would include draft compensation. But if you include draft compensation with the John Wall deal, you basically taking away all the leverage that you got with the James Harden deal. So it's like, what did you do? You know?
Yeah. I think that they really shot themselves in the foot with this one. Now you have a
Mm-hmm.
pretty close to immovable contract and no real compensation for James Harden, man. It's sad what's going on, but
Yeah. I
yeah.
mean, just on a point guard front, like they went from Chris Paul to Russell Westbrook, then to John Wall. Like, god damn.
Coming off an Achilles injury,
Yeah.
so